Guys, welcome to Basecamp Live, our second edition, out the box. Let me just move something here, just so I can. All right, perfect. All right, and today we're gonna finish our section on modal mapping. Last time we went over the first three modes. This time we'll just go over the last few quickly, just so you know where you are when you're playing. That's what started this whole thing. Is sometimes when we play, especially as intermediate bass players, we get lost or we don't see connections past the four frets that we're using. Modal mapping, or the different modes, the 7 different modes, helps you to set a map together there on that fretboard so that you can move freely, once you know these things. So our coaches, Greg and Jason, they went over our first 3 modes. All right. And today we'll go over the next 4. I just wanted to go over some house rules here. Let's just go here. So our objective in the next 60 minutes or so, you'll understand the final 4 modes, visualize the full fretboard map, and unlock new creative pathways through diminished applications and drills and practical drills. The reason why we'll go into some diminished stuff, and you'll see we have one of our videos that went viral on Instagram, if that's how you guys saw us, and we're actually gonna break it down, kind of note for note. Not only break down what this great bass player did, but we'll also try to extract some things so that you guys can do that as well. Okay. These are some of the problems that we're solving today. How to apply the modal map in everyday playing, and using diminished scales to create tension. Okay, and this is just our outline. Both Coach Jason and Coach Greg will go over both things that we're talking about, modal mapping, and some of our diminished stuff here, and then we'll play the video after here. So, with that being said, how you doing, Coach Jason?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Welcome, everyone. Good to see y'all again. Last time we talked about the first 3 modes in the key of C major, and I'm going to go ahead and continue to talk about the other 4. So the 4th mode in the key of C major would be F Lydian. It sounds like this. And then the next mode would be, just the 5th mode would be G Mescalidian. Lovely sound. And then the 6th mode, which is actually our relative minor, would be the Aeolian mode, which sounds like this. And I highlighted that it's the relative minor because this is actually also your natural minor scale. So something to keep in mind is the Aeolian mode is also the natural minor scale. And every major key has Aeolian mode, so every major key has a relative minor. Okay, the 7th mode here, which is our last mode, would be B Locrian. Sounds like this. Really interesting dark sound. And one thing I would just leave you guys with when it comes to mode is how to practice them effectively. So one thing I like to do, and I would recommend, is that you take them throughout the different registers. So, yes, we played it like this. This is Lydian. But you could also, take it up, continue up, like that, or even in the lower register like this. And what that does, it gives you more coverage. It gives you more mapping, because this whole lesson is about modal mapping. And what you're trying to do is make sense of your fretboard. And it's always good to practice as much as you can. You want to capitalize on as much as you can on the fretboard. So whether it's, playing in the different octaves for each mode, or just playing in different keys. If we did in the key of C, you could go to the key of, D flat and play the modes there. So, I would recommend that, you practice them in different registers, octaves, also different keys, and that will give you a lot of coverage on your fretboard, and also will help you to master your fretboard. So that way, you don't have any issues with finding where notes are at and making sense out of the musical fundamentals. These are the modes that are used for different chords. So every major key has chords to it, which comes from the modes. So that's how you map it out.
I have a quick question for you, Jason. Thank you for that. How do you use the modes? Like, is it something that's constantly in your head, or like when you hear a melody, it's just like a layer? Oh, oh, we're playing in C. Like, how do you use modes in your playing?
Yeah. So what I one thing I could see that I use modes for is to understand fundamentally the notes that are in a chord, right? So let's say it's a simple progression like C major going to G major going to A minor going to F major, which are all chords in the key. Now I need some kind of way to understand fundamentally what are those notes. So let's say on the C chord, I know that this is a sound. That's C Ionian. And then on the G chord, I know it's this sound, G Mescalinian. On the what else I said, the A minor chord, I know it's Aeolian, this sound. And then C, G, A minor, and then F major would be this sound. So fundamentally, I know that these are the notes, and I could pick and choose these notes when I'm using when I'm going to create like a groove, or if I'm going to embellish with a fill. And it's also a part of building my vocabulary. These sounds are something that it's not just for for show or for just exercise. It's also is going to be a part of your vocabulary for your entire duration of your music career, or if you're just doing it for fun or whatnot. So it's important to to know the sound of it, against a chord. That's one thing, and also the other thing is what I how I use them is I like to find the pentatonics out of the modes. So, for example, F Lydian translates to F major pentatonic, because all you got to do is take the first note, the second note, third note, the fifth note, and the sixth note, and the octave, and then you got a pentatonic. The same thing with G Mescalinian. You just move up two frets and get major pentatonic. And then with Aeolian, it's a bit different because now this is a minor sounding mode, or it's the natural minor scale. So it'll be a minor pentatonic because you use the root, the flat third, the fourth, the fifth, the flat seven, and the octave. B Locrian does not have a pentatonic technically because a pentatonic does not have a flat five. Don't have that note in it. So there's technically not a pentatonic on it. But anyways, with that being said, pentatonics are really good, really useful, very important in music. You hear that when you hear those kind of things, that's coming from a pentatonic scale. So knowing the pentatonics on these modes, now I have a plethora of things to use when it comes to creating adding to my groove, to give it life, or create an embellishment like a fill. Now I could make, I could create some stuff from these pentatonics to add to my vocabulary. Also, on the flip side, when you go to learn songs, when you go to transcribe songs, you got to have something, like when that something is the knowing the modes, knowing the pentatonics of the modes that will enable you to realize that realize what they're using. So when you hear a song and they start using things, you need to know what's the source of it. And if you've already done the homework, which is knowing the modes, knowing the pentatonics of the mode, you're pretty much 80 to 90% there of knowing exactly what's going on. So it's very important to just know it in general, because if you do not, it's just it's something that you'll definitely find yourself going back to know. Um, but yeah, that's how I use it. That's how I apply it. It's for application, direct application, and also to analyze songs.
Okay. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and Greg, I'll have your take on this as well. But especially for someone like me, so like I started playing bass. I had to play very quickly. I had to learn quickly, so just learn fundamentals as of my root notes, and then kind of just go from there. And I've grown from that place, not from a foundational place of like knowing my modes. But a lot of things that I'm hearing you saying is the cerebral work with playing a song. Whether it's improvising, what tools are you bringing to that improvisation? And it's just like, okay, let me start with my fundamentals. I know my modes. So, what chord structures are being done into the song? Are they going to the one, to the four, to the six? Okay, what does that mean in my head? What positions can I play? And that opens up, like you said, vocabulary. And I think that's just a word that a lot of us, it's not a fancy word, but I think it's a word that, a lot of the intermediate bass players and just bass players in general should focus on as far as expanding that, because it's like once you learn this key of modes, understanding where you are, it leads into a lot of different other things. So no, I've thank you for that. I feel like that's super important. Greg, how do you use modes when you're playing?
Yes. Okay. So I think when I'm playing, playing fills especially in certain keys and certain chords, I definitely use modes a lot. And like you were just speaking about vocabulary. I think a lot of people might be wondering, how do you take just ascending and descending shapes and creating your own vocabulary with it, you know? And so that's part of how I get into using it, is actually sitting and challenging myself to create new vocabulary. And if I can just show something quickly,
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
I really love three note per string stuff. Okay. So if you have your normal, let's say Lydian, I would play it in a three note per string. Okay. So index, middle, pinky, index, middle, pinky, index, middle, pinky, index, ring, pinky for Lydian. Because we're doing Lydian, okay. So the first thing I would do to stop always just doing this and start getting into creating vocabulary is just change the order of notes. You know? So instead of just going like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, go 2, 1, 3. And immediately when you do that, when you descend, what happens is you're kind of playing a cool fill already that you've never played, just by applying some sort of blueprint, you know. And then the next step, because we're talking about how we use this and how I use it in creating vocabulary, I would then say to myself, oh, I really like this. Can I get from the 4 chord, and in this case C Lydian, to this new piece of vocabulary I made? And I would do it out of time, and I would go, okay, cool, now I'm used to seeing the chord and getting to the fill. Now can I add an element of time, slowly, boom. The more I do that, the better chance that it will become part of my vocabulary and it will be something I play, because I practiced putting it into a real world situation, you know. So yeah, I would say so much of my practice time is spent just going, how can I take this thing and reverse it, turn it upside down, change the order, and then can I put it in context? And once I can put it in context, in time, I know it's going to come out in my playing because I've kind of worked on that, you know.
Right. It's amazing how you can just add on to it. It's like first you understand, like you said, you're in Locrian, and then okay, now we have timing. Am I gonna slide? Am I gonna do any hammer-ons? Am I gonna, now you can add these different embellishments. Are you guys hearing an echo? I'm sorry. I'm hearing an echo
No,
in my ear.
it sounds
Okay.
good to
Okay,
me.
good. Yeah, so but it started with that first, foundation of
Yes.
knowing the boring 1 through 7, and the 3 notes per fret, I think, or 3 notes
3 notes per string.
per string. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I think that's something cool to try. How did that come about? Was just that something you liked?
I think I just saw a lot of musicians doing that, and it allows you to cover a big area of the fretboard from the root to the fifth above the octave without shifting, you know? And so a lot of notes are under your fingers automatically. So if you want to play bigger intervals, it's much easier to jump between them because they're kind of all just under your fingers already, you know?
Right.
So I would definitely, if you're someone who has the modes down in a kind of normal position, I would get the 3 note per string thing happening and then start working on all the kind of variations you can do with that, you know?
I'd also like to add one thing that I'm kind of studying and looking at is the bass player's right hand, or if they have, if it's a left hand bass, left hand, but yeah, the right hand. I'm really into the minimal, just one pluck, and a lot of the work coming off of the left hand. It's just making it, to me, in certain positions, it just sounds just like one note while they're playing like 3 or 4 notes. So I think hitting that 3 notes, if you get in the practice of hitting 3 notes per string, but you're only doing one pluck per string,
Yes.
I feel like that adds in some cool sounds. I mean, what do you think?
It's like super vocal, and yeah, you have got, like, that was one pluck, but I played 6, 6 notes happened, but one pluck, because you can kind of choose where you go with, you got 3 notes under your hand instead of you know. So yeah, I think there's so many reasons why I just think it's a really good next step for people, Oh, your mic is off.
Unmute.
There you go.
Oh, here we are. Perfect. No, thank you guys for that insight. Again, guys, modal mapping it sounds like it's just a great foundation to know and to build upon, but also helps you to know where you are so you don't get lost, and understanding chord structures of songs. It's a great way to start, and like Greg said, you can change, I guess, the order of how you're playing it and practice it that way. Make a little motif, make a little phrase, add some embellishments, and that's amazing. So we'll explore that in some of our drills and all that moving on. But that's mobile mapping, and that's kind of the foundation as we add upon that. Okay. Now I have a kind of video that I'm going to play of something that went viral here on our page. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like here. Let me see if I can pull it.
Hold up, bring the beat back. Stop, I ain't ready yet. Wait, let me fix mine. Yes. Every woman got
Okay. That was a lot. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Jason, what do you hear there? What's something that pops out to you when you hear
The
that?
the diminished sound. It's
Okay.
very dark and it's
Uh-huh.
very transferable, as you can
Okay.
see in the video.
So when you
Yeah.
say diminish, so someone like me who, let's say, I don't have a lot of um, understanding of what a diminish is, I know there's a lot of tension built in that. Can you go over
Yeah.
what you think, how diminish is for you and how you would use it, or just an overall, just what is diminished?
Yeah. So overall, the diminish is it's a very dark sound. It's built in minor thirds, so it's a symmetrical scale or symmetrical arpeggio, however you want to look at it. It's symmetrical. So you have like we start, let's say, with this note. If I go a minor third away, then a minor third away, a minor third away, a minor third away, keep going. It just keeps going. It's just a continuous loop. So it's the easiest way to understand it is that it's built in minor thirds,
Uh
and
huh.
because of that, there's only three diminish, um, like different keys for diminish. You have this one, and once you get to that minor third interval, it repeats itself. Because if I'm doing D diminished is the same as F diminished, it's the same as G sharp diminished, it's the same as B, because it just keeps repeating. So that's what
I
it
do
is.
have a question. That first, so the first diminished scale that you were playing. So what's the root note? What would be the root note of that
Yeah,
diminished?
so I was just
Yeah.
playing from D,
Okay. Yeah.
and then I just went a minor third up, and then a minor third up. You don't
Okay.
really even have to think about the notes like that. You just have to go up in minor thirds.
Uh huh.
Once you keep that minor third shape, because you know the interval minor third is a shape. You can associate to shape. Once you keep that shape, you'll get the diminished sound.
I got you. Thank
Yes.
you for that. Great. Let's bring you in here. So we're hearing a lot of diminish. What are you hearing? And I think you're gonna actually break some things down for us here.
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of it is for sure diminished, but the phrasing is just insane and all over the place in an amazing way. And something you were talking about earlier with the right hand, yeah, he's like attacking every note so cleanly, and his left hand is so articulate. And because it's fast, if you don't have that down, it's just going to sound like really washy, you know. So you got to work on this so slow, because otherwise it will just sound like, you know. But he's
Right.
got it like, you know, it's like Jacko, you know, on steroids. Okay, so I'm hoping you can hear this. I'll turn it up.
Hold up, bring the beat back.
Cool. Can you hear that okay?
Yeah, we heard that well.
Okay, so this first fill here, and we're talking, I'm going to break this all down on an F diminished, okay? So,
I will ask you. I'm sorry, Greg. I'll
yep.
let you cook. But for me, like, what note is this song on?
Yeah, yeah, so it's all on an F diminished chord.
Okay.
It sounds like it's kind of pretty out of tune or whatever, but I'm like, I think that it actually is G flat to C, okay? Which is just pure diminished, flat 5 to root,
Okay.
you know. Okay. And if you played the chord that goes with this song, it's like a pure diminished song, which for a pop song to stay there like that
Yeah.
is like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. Okay.
Just like so tense. Beyonce is actually amazing for that. She has tunes where the harmony is pretty out there, but it's like a gigantic pop tune, you know.
Right. Okay.
But I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
break these down on an F diminished chord. I'm gonna show you like how to play these fills off of an F diminished. So the first fill, if we're saying this is happening on an F diminished chord, he kind of slides into the flat 5, and then okay, so this is what happens first. You're going to the flat 5, And then on the top here, again, you're kind of approaching the root from a tone down. And then again, approaching the flat 5 from below. And then the last bit here is very cool, which is just a pure flat 5. Diminished as diminished can be. Okay. And as you can see, if I kind of play all the notes at the same time, it's all a series of flat 5s. So this is super dark fill, you know. So you could practice just going really slow. Okay, so that's fill number 1. Fill number 2, again, I think he's mixing whole tone and diminished stuff here, but I don't want to go into the whole tone stuff right now. So I'm going to diminishify it, okay? So let's listen to this next fill here. Okay, here we go.
Stop. I'm ready.
Okay, so it's insanely fast, okay? But I'm going to play this really slow. So again, we're still on this diminished chord. We come up here, and I'm going to diminishify it, because I'm not going to go into whole tone stuff. But essentially, what's happening is, you're just going down a flat 5 from the flat 5, because it's all flat 5s and flat 3s, okay? Down a flat 5, up a minor third, because remember we said it's all just minor thirds and flat 5s. And then again, the exact same pattern, down a flat 5. So it's all symmetrical. So again, you're just taking the same phrase and moving it to the next note in this diminished chord. And this next part here is an absolute tongue twister. It's like, it's kind of a bluesy line. He's mixing diminished with a blues kind of thing, you know. Flat 5 to the flat 3 to the root. Okay, so, and at the end he has to add another tail on top of this. And rhythmically this is very tricky, because he's mixing a bunch of time feels as well. So it's like yeah. So it's super disorientating already, and then he adds disorientating rhythm on top of that. And then at that tempo, it's just like everyone's ears, I mean, of course you're going to react like that because it just feels crazy, you know. But yeah, I hope, like, I'm going to break down another 2, but if you see how we can take one phrase like this and we can just move that down in flat 5s, and it's going to work. So I think a big takeaway here for me from learning this is anything you play in one part of the diminished scale or chord, you can move it a minor third or flat 5 and play the exact same thing, and it will work, you know. This is what's super cool about diminished. It's not like when you play Lydian, oh, I play this is different, this is different, this is different. No, it's if I play this phrase here and I move it up a minor third, it's going to work. If I play it here and I move it down a minor third, it's going to work. If I move it down a flat 5, it's going to work. So once you have one line, work on just taking this everywhere through that diminished, you know. Okay, shall I break down the next fill?
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Here it is.
Wait, let me fix mine. Yes.
Okay. Again, absolutely crazy. But this is what's happening. He's playing again. We're looking at this as F diminished. He hits the flat 3 and then goes to the root and plays this kind of pattern again, but here. And now, instead of descending this thing, we're going to ascend with the same rhythm. So we go boom. So all we're doing again is descend a flat 5 and go up a minor third. And then we play that exact same shape. And then we play that exact same shape. We're just moving it through this diminished chord. What's super difficult is knowing what fingers to use that will work when the tempo jumps up. Because I could play this like this and go, oh, I got it, I worked out the notes. Your pinky and your ring finger need to be so dexterous to get... Because as you play that, you need to get your pinky to the next note before you've finished this. That's what's tough, you know. So it's like, can you see, as that index goes down, my pinky has to prepare to play this on the next string.
It's almost like they're going in opposite
yes,
ways.
Exactly.
So while you're playing that pointer finger, the pinky already has to be extended for that next note.
Yeah. And then it's like, cool, I've done this. My pinky goes there. While the pinky goes there, these two need to... So this is like... You know, you need to really work on these kind of spider exercise type things to get this really down. Just to end this, the tail of this fill, because it does not stop there, you know. So we go... He just descends, but again, you could do this like this, where you're just walking down in the exact same pattern, you know. Again, the tricky thing is now the pinky is kind of moving with the index to prepare to go to the next string, you know. And you could also just run the scale down. Literally just walk down minor thirds, down a flat 5, you know. Okay, any questions, or I will go to the next fill.
Let me see. I don't see any questions just yet. I don't see any questions here, but no, you're breaking it down very well. It's just understanding now. It's one thing to get the notes right.
Yeah.
But now we're trying to put speed and timing. Because I think on some of those fills, he had some, I don't know if it's emphasis on certain notes, like da 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 da.
Yes,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah. So this fill exactly. Yeah. So like, it's very rhythmically and harmonically tense. So it's amazing because you're learning so much from this, you know, because diminished is tense, but you could easily go, oh, I learned the symmetrical scale that's made up of minor thirds and flat 5s. Oh, I'm just going to do this, you know. But adding in that rhythmic element to it, it just adds another layer. So I think if you're going to get into diminished, don't kind of let the whole symmetrical thing make you forget about rhythm. I know it's weird enough already, but don't forget to add some cool rhythms, you know. Okay, final fill I'm going to break down here is chord, a chordal thing. Okay, so what's happening here is he plays the diminished chord and he starts it on the note D. So we go flat 3 down from the root. And look, all we do is, here's our diminished chord. We're going to play a root, flat 3, and it's called a double flat 7. I'm sorry, I didn't make the rules. It looks like a major 6, but if we're going to be theoretically pedantic, it's double flat 7. Root, flat 3, double flat 7. So ring, index, and middle finger. That's your diminished chord. Okay? Now what he does is he just moves that shape in minor thirds because it's going to work. And he plays it like this. So again, once you have something that works, you move it in minor thirds. This is the key takeaway. And he just ends it by descending a diminished line again. But, yeah, sorry, go for it, please.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say with me, with my non-technical brain, I understand the chords going up, and that's great. But it sounds like he just ended with doing the melody that Beyonce was singing.
Ah,
Is that right? Maybe play it
maybe.
again.
Let's hear. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
cool.
See, that's how. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Yes.
Right. Like, see,
Exactly.
these are things that I
Uh-huh.
pick up on because we had a video, in fact, yesterday. Amazing bass player. Um, he had, he was doing like setting the foundation, doing locks, but one of his licks, he went and then he did it with the melody that was singing. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, like that sounds amazing. So also, guys, hey, that's another great thing. If you and your singer are on, one page and they like to do something, it's always great to kind of do what they do. Just take it and then go back to what you're doing. It's an amazing sound. But yeah.
100%. That is like amazing tip, Learn from the singer in a lot of cases might have written the song. So when they give you the part of the melody that they feel expresses the song and you play it
Yeah.
or quote it in a different way, they might not even realize, but they're going to like what you're playing because you learnt it from them,
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing that when I'm recording with people.
Really?
If I hear the singer's always focusing on this part of the scale, when I play a fill, I'll use that kind of concept. And then normally that's when they're like, oh, that was so cool. And then I'm like, well, you
You
taught
did.
me that.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay, but the diminished stuff, I hope that was understandable. And yeah, I would just really work on getting that scale down, understanding that it's minor thirds and flat fives. Play one phrase and try to move it a minor third down, a minor third up, or a flat five up, or a flat five down. And once you can do that, it's going to open up. Trust me,
So this was probably, and I got the bass player's name here. Let's see. It's hold on, because I want to make sure we call Joav Ganor, I think is what he goes by. I might be saying that wrong. But yeah, we also wanted to say his name because this is just amazing stuff.
Yes.
Now, I know this is probably as complex as you can throw, in this little popular song here. Do you have any examples, Greg, of anything that, just a regular tone we may play? I think I heard you playing something online here that we can add some aspects of a diminished scale in.
Yes, so a cool thing about diminished is we don't see it as often as a dominant chord. This song is actually, this Beyonce song is a rarity. It's just a song that's just hammering diminished.
Right.
But on a dominant 7 chord, if you just play the chord and look at it, you can see of the third, look, it's a minor third up, and then you go minor third up. So inside a dominant chord, off of the third is a diminished triad. So now, once we know that, we can go, oh wow, all the stuff we just worked on diminished, we can play it off the third of a dominant chord. So that is a chord that we see in a lot of songs. So it's way more maybe useful for us to understand that and apply it like that, So, Here is Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. And this song is based around a B dominant 7 sound. Now, remember, we can play diminished off of the third. So off of this D sharp, we can play all the diminished lines we just learned from the video or that we've worked on off of the third of B. So D sharp diminished. So as an example, that's a line from the video. I just played it starting on the third of this chord. And it just works, you know.
Does it work anywhere else or on that third? Like, I'm just thinking about, like, me, application. Out of today, I'm learning Diminish. How can I understand shapes and practices. How can I put this on a song I have to play at church or a song I have to play? Are you saying highlight, look for the third in your major scale? Like, where would you kind of look to put a diminished scale, you know, based on the number system, where someone is playing like a song like this?
Yeah, so they're on a 5 chord or anywhere you see a dominant chord. I would just kind of see that third, and then I would think, oh, all my diminished vocabulary can start from there. And even once you realize the third works, we spoke about earlier that everything is built in minor thirds. So that means that F sharp, I can also play these ideas off of the 5th of a dominant chord, also off of the flat 7 of a dominant chord, as long as I resolve, you know. So once you understand that relationship between dominant and diminished, and then you understand that diminished is just minor third and flat 5, if you put that all together, then when you see a dominant chord, yeah, you can do this off the 3rd, off the 5th, off the 7th, off the flat 9, because that's the diminished, you know, chord.
Mm-hmm.
You can play these ideas off of all of those notes, you know.
If you don't mind, with that backing track, can you show us what would sound like off of the 3rd, off of the 5th, how you would kind of creatively mess around, you know, with...
Yeah. Okay, so here it is off of the 3rd. So, and here's off the 5th. I'm just playing it and then resolving. Off the flat 7. And then remember we did the chord thing. You could play. So that's just like playing the diminished ideas off of all of the notes in that diminished chord, like we spoke about, you know.
Yeah.
But don't do this if you're playing a gig.
No.
You know?
Jason, what do you have to say to that?
You know what I mean? Be careful with that. This is like, you know, we need to be careful.
We need to be professional, right?
Yeah. We need to not take over the whole place. You know what I mean?
With that being said, I do have a question, Jason, just switching gears on that. So what's your mentality? Like, you guys have all these tools available to you, right? Like, let's say someone spends 2 weeks extensively practicing these from diminished to timing to, you know, all these things. And then they have a gig. Like, how do you hold back? Like, what's your mentality when you go to a top 40 gig? You know what I mean? Like, to not overplay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just understanding. I've done those kind of gigs before. It's understanding the orchestration, you know. Like some of those bands sometimes include horn players, 2-3 singers, you know, 2 guitar players. So it's just really knowing your role and grounding the band. I always look at it as grounding the band. You want to make sure that that's there first, you know. And there's a pocket for, you know, feels and these embellishments. There's definitely a pocket for that. But I would say the first and foremost thing is to ground the band with your grooves. So that way it builds the confidence of everybody around you. Now, when they feel when your feel is good, when the groove is good, it's locked in with the drummer and those kind of things, then everybody confidence level is up. Then you could kind of sneak in those fills where there's holes. Sometimes there's holes right before a section, right? You could probably throw that in, but always make sure rhythmically you're grounded as well. Like when you play that fill, like make sure you're coming back to the downbeat is one of the things. It's something like what Greg say. If you're going to be doing something like diminish and those kind of stuff, you want to make sure you resolve it. So understand the tension release, or is it release and resolutions, or is it tension release? My bad. Yeah. So those kind of things. Just number one takeaway is to make sure you ground the band first. Everybody is confident that the groove is there, especially in a top 40 situation, because those grooves that you hear in top 40 music are iconic. So you want to make sure that you're playing those to the T. Once that is there, then you need to add yourself, because they didn't hire the original bass player on the record. They hired you. So then you add yourself, you bring some of your personality out. I do that all the time, like, yeah, here's the groove, but then let me kind of put my own flavor to it, but
Now,
within respect to the music.
I'll ask you both this. You talk about pockets where there's opportunity for a bass fill, an opportunity, for a 10-second shine. Are you okay with playing a gig where there's no opportunity, or you put your creativity as a priority, or, how do you
Me
feel about that?
personally, I'm good with playing a gig where I'm just holding down the part. I'm totally fine with that, because I believe that the bass in general is an important role. Most folks think it's easy. It's an easy role because you're playing, one note. You're not like a guitar player and playing all these notes at a time. You're playing just the root, but you got to realize that it's more than just the root. It's also that you're the foundation to everyone in that band. Besides the drummer, of course. You're harmonically, you're the foundation. Your root note underneath those chords dictate what that chord is. So let's say take a chord here, like uh D minor chord. If you played B on that, now that changes it. If you play B as a bass player on that D minor chord, that changes to a half diminished chord. So you have that kind of power as a bassist. So your job is very, very important. So if I have a gig where I'm not necessarily able to do all these embellishments, I still understand that my role is respected as holding it down.
Greg, how about you? The same question. I mean, we talked about pockets. What if there's a gig and it's very, strict as of what everyone's supposed to do, and there aren't that pocket opportunity? How do you feel about that?
I think we're getting into some heavy stuff here, Um, I like I think I spent a lot of my life doing gigs where I just did that, And if I'm recording and it's just like I'm gonna go in there for an hour and smash 5 songs out, that's not a lot of my life as a musician to give away. But if I'm gonna tour with someone and I can't bring my own personality to it, I'm semi done with that. Do you know what I mean? Because I think if you look at guys bass player wise like Mono Neon or Thundercat or Jacko, um, they do their thing, And I think at this age now, I've done 20 years. I started touring or playing when I'm 13 in bands. So I did like 25 years of, I'll do what you want, I'll do what you want. Okay, I won't play that. Okay, I won't play that. So at this point in my life, I'm like, I want to play how I play, you know. I'm happy to do short-term things, but not long-term, because I want everyone to be happy. Me, if I'm not unhappy, then the artist's probably not going to be that happy either.
This reminds me of a question that I asked on one of my lives. On one of my posts. In fact, my last post. I'm gonna ask you guys as well. So the question was, out of these four, what's the basis most important quality? There's being adaptive, being bold, being creative, or being unique? All right, so there's adaptive, bold, creative, unique.
I think for working bass player, adaptive. What was the second one?
Bold,
No.
creative, and then unique.
Yeah, I would say adaptive and creative. Like, if you're in the studio, you want a creative bass player. Like, you don't want the producer to be like, "Cool, play me something," and then you're like, "Oh, you tell me what to play." Do you know what I mean? And then the adaptive thing, it's like, "Oh, we're gonna do an acoustic session tomorrow. Can you play double bass?" And you're like, "Yeah, for sure I can." And then you have to organize like a double bass and just
Right.
get your tune. You know what I mean? I think those are, if you want to be a working bass player, I would say those two are super important. You know?
How about you, Jason? And then I'll tell you guys the results.
Yeah, for sure. Not to echo Greg, but I would say adaptive for sure. You know, life is about improvisation. So sometimes you just don't know what you get yourself into. And, you might practice when we're at home. And then when you go to a live situation or a session, they might flip it. They might change the key. They might change the feel. So if you're not comfortable with adapting, it could be a major problem. And of course, being creative. To me, there's no life in music if you can't be creative. If you're kind of like what Greg was saying earlier, like if you're told what to do every time, eventually you're going to step away. So, being creative, bringing your flavor, bringing who you are, is what makes you different from the next bass player to the other bass player. And I think that's a very important quality.
So the results, we got 72 votes, and adaptive was 46% of the votes. Bold was 8%. Creative was 29, so that's the second highest. And then unique was 17%. So it kind of echoed what you guys said.
Yeah.
Said adaptive first, and then creative after.
Is this to be a working bass player?
The way
Like
it
a
was phrased was
professional bass
just
player?
bassist. Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
those who have, their regular gigs, whether it's at a bar or at a church or, and have a band. I think
Yeah.
adaptive, to me personally, I think adaptive is really good because sometimes you'll be in situations where you're not comfortable. And that's where you take your tools with you to rely on that. The tools that we're going over on here. Let me. Sorry, I hear just a little bit of an echo, but okay, perfect, awesome. I don't know what someone muted, but now it's good. Um, no, you're good. So, guys, I hope that you guys can replay and play this as many times as you want. I think we'll have some drills over the next few weeks to kind of break down maybe some exercises. I'm definitely taking some of this in as far as like the 3 notes per string, changing how the sequence of how we're playing certain notes and all that. So, with that being said, I mean, that's unless there's any questions, I don't see any questions come up. You guys are welcome to ask questions in the school community. I also want to add that for our coaches here, Jason, he has some blueprints and guides out on scales there. He'll go into the specifics of what those are, as well as you guys can book one-on-ones with either of our coaches. You could follow them on their page, including Greg. He's Celebrity Pedals, or at Celebrity Pedals on Instagram. And yeah, let's keep growing. Let's support each other. Let's grow. And I can't wait. Also, we're going to have a challenge coming out of this using diminished scales and using some of the other things that we went over as far as modal mapping. So I can't wait to hear you guys. I can't wait to hear your videos. Send them in if you're watching this through YouTube as well. Our email is at fellowshipbasemusic.com. If you want to send something, if you want to join our community, Fellowship Plus, we're growing. All right. And that's where everything is. Other than that, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? Is everything good? All right. With that being said, guys, thank you for joining. And we will see you at our next base camp. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.